trying to do the work to raise our people up.
Mm.
That's why I stay on. That's why I stay on the hook. That's why I stay here.
Wow, man. What a show, Doc. What a show, man. Haven't you ain't been on here in a while. It's good to have you back on here, man.
Good to be
Let's
back, bro.
we're gonna get to this. We're gonna take about probably 2 or 3 questions before we get out of here. But reminder, Doc's PayPal, KevinEarth@gmail.com. Let's get to this first question from the chat. Ask the doctor, does he know that ancient Egypt is here in the Americas?
Yes, I do. Up around Chicago, what Chicago was, then down in South America, in the southeastern portion of South America, there was a place called Egypt. Yes, and the Mississippi River was Nile, and in the southern region of the Americas, the Amazon was the Nile.
Mm. So was the Mississippi was the Nile before the Nile was the Nile over
Yeah,
there?
Nile. Yeah. So the Nile is actually Hapi.
Oh, okay.
The Mississippi was called something else. One of my Moorish brothers, I forgot the name it was called. But the Mississippi is essentially Mississippi is actually a name for the fact that it wanders. I forgot what the actual name Mississippi actually meant, what it was derived from. I think the Yamakra or the Yamasi had named it.
They want to know where can they get Wounded Womb, Doc? Is it on Amazon? The Wounded Womb?
No, don't go to. Oh no, don't go to Amazon. Amazon is where people who bought my book are collectors. They're personal, individual collectors of books. My book is not listed in the ISBN. I didn't want it. So it's listed as a what you call it, a rare book.
Mm.
So if you go there, the book that they're selling it for, they sell it for $100, $200, $300. One time I saw it for $750 back in the day when it was rare.
Woo.
Right.
Wow.
That's not my publisher. That's an individual collector. So go to lulu.com.
Okay.
LULU is my publisher. .com, and in there put the Wounded Womb and my name.
Okay.
You don't have to put the doctor in front. Just put Philip Valentine.
Let's get to the next question. They want to know Novatech. Is it still a good investment?
Yes, I've done my vetting. I mean, this is me personally. I'm just putting it out there for you all to check it. You can go up to Novatech, what is that? Novatech FX
Let me tell
dot
you.
com.
Yeah, NovatechFX.com. Yes.
Right. And if you want to do it by yourself, you can go to, if they ask you for a referral number, the referral number is 234587.
I'm putting it in the chat right now, family. It's in the chat.
Right. So the referral number is 234587. Now, if you want help and you want to do it through Reggie Juzang, Reggie Juzang will then tell you what will help you to be placed in a proper direction. But you got both ways for you to deal with the Novatech, and I do suggest that you do that. I'm probably in the earlier part of the lecture that I'm going to do on the flatted plane. I'll probably do a little something on the Novatech to show you the gradual funds that I accrued based upon me working this business. And it's a little slow because again, it's black owned and there's hundreds of thousands of people coming in at this time. She doesn't want to stay around America because I think that they tried to threaten her life because she would not give them the formula to her success.
Mm.
So she is not in the Americas. She lives offshore.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
but yes, it's been good to me. And I suggest that you just stay vigilant. And every time you do get a dividend, every week, it comes every week a dividend because she trades every week. You get a little dividend depending on the amount you put in, anywhere from 250 all the way up to 5 to 10,000 people are doing. And that money is what they are trading against cryptocurrency and the Forex, the foreign exchange.
Mm.
Now, the cryptocurrency is not, she's not trading against the coins themselves. She's trading against the actual activity of trading and buying and selling.
Mm.
So everybody is buying at one point, everybody is selling at one point. So the percentages having to do with buying and selling is what she's actually monetizing that the Novatech with.
Mm.
So you can get, if you just want to do it for yourself, every Friday there's a dividend. You fold the dividend over into your principal, and now you got a higher principal for it to trade. If you want to do it for Saturday, then invite people in, and then you talk to Reggie, and then they'll show you where to put the people so you can build up a tree, and then you get paid. You get paid Saturdays as well.
Indeed. Let's the information is right there on the screen, family. The referral number, Reggie Juzang, Novatech is right there on the screen, family. We're gonna get to this next question.
Right?
Is the Grand Canyon a bleed over to Mars or Africa?
The Grand Canyon, essentially, to me, was a giant ocean at one time,
Mm.
covered in water,
Mm-hmm.
but it dried out twice, two or three times, and it was essentially built up, uh, and it was a storage place for a lot of ancient Kemetic artifacts.
Mm.
They shut it down. The I forgot the name of the museum, but the American Museum, where they have all the airplanes and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they sent a, uh, a configuration or what is that, a constituency of people, of researchers, to find out whether this cave that contained the pictures of Shiva, Brahma, and hieroglyphics and the whole nine yards was real. Once they found out, because the water levels had dropped and a cave was seen, they
Mm-hmm.
saw that they had all these artifacts were inside of this cave. And so, yes, the Grand Canyon is not a bleed over to Mars. The Grand Canyon essentially was an ocean at one point that dropped its level, was inhabited by our ancestors, and left after a while. As far as Mars is concerned, don't look at these planets as actually being solid things. That is a lie. That's NASA giving you an impression that somehow these orbiting lights that you see, that's based in sonoluminescence. Look it up. Sonoluminescence. It's the blinking of a light. When you get a powerful enough telescope and look to where they tell you Mars is, you will see that everything about that thing that's supposed to look like Mars is distorted. You'll see something like a light that just keeps moving like this, and it's pulsating, and it's the specific figurations that the pulse gives is what they're using in NASA as the lines that they put in there to show that somehow this is a planet. It's not a planet. The word planet comes from the Greek planetai, which means wanderer. A wanderer does not get into a fixed orbit. A wanderer just simply wanders.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew back then that what they looks like planets are essentially light configurations of sound. Remember what we said that they found when they collided those two protons together. They found a quantum, I mean, I named it, a quantum central resonance.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And that quantum central resonance is shown in every living thing. And that's what you're looking up in above the dome and inside the dome, trapped inside the dome, and above the dome is water. Trapped inside the dome is a liquid and these pulsating harmonics that's inside the thick space of the dome. That is the light harmonics that are uh, essentially feeding what we call the stars
Mm-hmm.
on the dome. And they're giving the dome itself as it's circling, as the dome and the stars are circling above us in the cyclotron that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
we are getting certain pulsations and instructions filtering through the sun and the moon and the light that we're getting. We're getting instructions that's matching the synaptic charges and the synaptic pulses that we see, light impulses that we see in our brain. They're connected directly to the hieroglyphics of the sky.
Mm, wow, hieroglyphics of the sky.
Yeah,
That's
that's what the stars are.
that's a show right there. Hieroglyphics of the sky. Wow, man. Let's get to the next question. We're gonna do two more, and that's it. We getting out of here.
Okay.
How do I start clearing karma from past lives efficiently?
That's an interesting question. As far as karma is concerned, you're living your karma right now. Every obstacle that you have, that you meet up with, that you don't take into heart and want to avoid, that's you not facing your karma and clearing it. So, whatever it is you feel that you want to do, but you find difficult and stop doing, that's you not clearing your karma. So, whatever it is that you aspire to do and to achieve, whatever it is that resists you, that's what you're clearing. That's making you stronger. They say that that which does not kill you makes you stronger. Well, the more you are faced with resistance towards what you want, the stronger you get if your resolve is set in that destination. So, any challenge that you get to you, psychologically, physically, mentally, any challenge that you try to sidestep in your efforts, and I'm not talking about try not to find the easy way or to ways to make your way a little bit easier. Yeah, if you're finding that your riches are coming very easy to you, then that means that you are duty bound to share and to share it and to uplift others. If you find it hard and you're working through it and you're staying to it, then you're personally getting your karma cut because what you refuse to do in your previous lives is what comes back to visit you in the next life because you never essentially leave an unbalanced energy with your soul. Your soul carries the markings and the etchings of your past life. That's why some people are born, some children are born with different defects because those defects reflect the consciousness of the person who did something to someone else, probably crippled somebody else, or did something that their conscience, even the worst killer, no matter what it is they suppress to become the worst killer, they have a karma coming.
Mm, okay. Last question. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this book. They said, can he talk about the book Monuments on Mars by
Yeah,
Richard Hoagland?
yeah, that's Hoagland. Hoagland talking about monuments on Mars, and there were people. I even thought that there were actually people that were up on Mars because I was talking to what is it? What was his name? Preston Nichols, and the other guy was in the Philadelphia experiment. Um, I was following along with that, and when I began talking about flat Earth, that's when they shut up or they shut down. And they would look up in the sky and say, "Yeah, but." And I said, "Have you ever been into outer space?" Well, they talk about in the Matrix series. I don't know if you have any of the books by Vladimir Valerian.
Hmm.
It's called the Matrix series. It's a very good book up from 1 to 3, 1 to 4 is
Yes.
excellent. The ones after that is all about homosexuality and we don't have to have our. I mean, you could tell that he was actually stepped to, if you understand what I mean.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the Matrix series is an excellent series. What they were talking about was transmitting energies through what I came to understand is finding resonating portals through the dome into other domes and
Hmm.
finding doorways, frequency doorways that you could walk through without disturbing tunnels
Hmm.
that you could actually in tunnels through time and tunnels through space that you could create going from um, one atmospheric dome or one consolidated or isolated dome to another. There are ways to travel through frequency bands, and that's what this whole thing is about right now: discovering those frequency portals.
Indeed, indeed. And with that, family, we're gonna wrap it up. Amazing, amazing show. Great way to start the year with Dr. Valentine. Any last thing you want to tell the people as we close out, and any information you definitely want them to know one more time, Doc?
Very quick, if you're into cryptocurrency, I do recommend. I have five of them that I do myself that I vetted, and that's XRP because it's about to blow up sometime this year if everything goes well. XLM, XDC, HBAR, and Quant. These are the four, the five that I dealt with that I'm sticking with because it's all long term. Of course, this is going to be for posterity.
Mm,
I do recommend that as far as that if you really want to search out what 2023 and the number seven in that cycle really represents, I
mhm.
really recommend that you join us at our university and you sign up and take the course Metaphysical Psychology. I do also recommend that you deal with the Juice Plus. Talk to my daughter-in-law, Nanette. I think you should have her telephone number there. Uh, Hi, Eve. Then the other things, the wounded womb for our sisters, I would suggest you get that for our.
Trump going to be president in 2024? You think?
We're not, we're looking at the situation. A lot of the people who are of of our melanated descent and across the board, he's actually paving the way for someone else. But if
Mm,
it doesn't work, he's going to step up. They're thinking of Ron DeSantis down here in Florida, but he doesn't have the same kind of presence that the supposedly that Trump has. So Trump may throw his hat in the ring, but right now he's still the president. He's actually the 19th president of the United States. This is before the corporation was actually created. The corporate United States was created. The last president was the 18th president. I forgot his name, but that was the last legitimate time that the United States of America, as a non-incorporated entity, essentially now everyone else after that became CEOs of a corporation, which is why the Democrats today, who are working for the socialists and the communists and are running under China's auspices, that particular corporation of the United States of corporation is no longer. It is the White House office incorporated. You can go into Dun and Bradstreet right now. For those of you who like to do vetting, go to Dun and Bradstreet and look up the fact that there's the White House office incorporated. It's actual corporation, and that's what we're running under.
mm. You going to be talking about this in your webinar?
I might talk about it. It should be something that we already have talked about, which we're going to be getting onto our website. The I spoke about this about maybe two webinars ago when I began speaking about the United States of North America and my connections and contact with the true and legitimate Prime Minister of the United States of North America, of which I am an ambassador. ambassador ambassador of science. In fact, I'm ambassador at large. But that's something I could talk about, and I don't want to get too elaborate into it. But I can tell you that what we're running under is not a country. It's not what it is as the de jure constitution, the de jure country that we were dealing with, what we helped to establish.
Hmm.
The real country, once we reassume after this particular crash that's getting ready to come down, once it's reassumed, you'll find that we have to reboot the entire structure of what we call the United States of America, and that's going to now become going to take it over from the 19th president, and then the prime minister will be then revealed, the one who essentially has been holding it down uh, from across the seas, so to speak. But we'll talk about that when the time comes when people are ready. Right now, we have to get people prepared for what's getting ready to go down, which is the crash of the economy and the reboot of the economy. And there are two factions that are fighting. The one faction is the quantum financial system, and then there's the Great Reset. The Great Reset is the deep state. Okay, that's the one that's dealing in Davos. The quantum financial system is the so-called, the white knights they call them. But we'll see what's happening because the autochthonous peoples, us, the Moors, the people who they call the Moors, the people who are the indigenous, the autochthonous peoples, it is time for us to assume our mantle. That's part of what it is that we talk about in the previous webinars. and what I talk about in this webinar, and the fact that we have to deal with our finances by removing the fiat that we've been forced through what was called a compelled benefit. The fact that we're using the dollar is a crime. You're not supposed to be using this dollar. It's not the actual coin of the realm. So you're participating in a treasonous act. And that's why they can actually treat us as criminals. That's why they can shoot us down in the streets and so forth, because we're participating in a fraud. Now, what we can do with that fiat at this time is to draw it out as much as we can from the banks, because in the banks, your money right now is bleeding value. It's hemorrhaging value.
That inflation, man.
Yeah, it's hemorrhaging value. I
Mm.
can help you with the so-called, we're dealing with it. I think I sent it to you in a Novatech, that it started by a black woman. I've been in it. I've vetted it for the past few months. It's been very very supportive, and I would like people to really investigate it as we go along in our discourse. But that, and of course the Noble Quill. A lot of people have is backed up right now. So for those of you who have actually asked about the Noble Quill and for your legal situations, please be more patient. I will try to get as much information, or at least to try to find out from the nobles what may be holding things up. But like I said, the services we're dealing right now is to help to mitigate much of what pain is getting ready to come down, and to help you to move your finances into places that will be able to support you through the coming crash.
You still buying silver, Dr. Valentine?
Yeah, I bought, let's just say, a substantial amount, but copper is my next target.
Copper? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, copper is what you're going to be dealing with, because everything that is in the new financial system, especially the new, what do you call it, technological system, copper is going to be very, very important.
Mm.
You're going to see copper prices rise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Gold, of course, will rise.
mm-hmm.
Some say it will go to 5,000, which is why we talk about the Glint account. You go up
Right.
to glintpay.com and buy gold,
Mm-hmm,
be
mm-hmm,
able to spend gold.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and you don't have to spend a lot. I mean, if you want to, give up on them Jordan sneakers and go out and and deal with all kind of expensive foods and so forth, be frugal, and be able to deal with the things that are necessities at this time.
Mm-hmm,
You can't be caught up in the illusion where you see celebrities, making it rain and all this kind of nonsense. That's the illusion to get you to keep the system going.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
see, you take your money and you begin to seed it in places where you know that they're shifting the entire system, and then you will survive.
mm-hmm. What do you think about the ancient system of bartering? Do you think that that's an effective way to
Oh, yeah, only if there is worth, value for value. And this is the reason why we are still slaves, because we are expecting value, okay, but we're paying it with paper money that's worth nothing, which is why we're heavily taxed. You see, so value for value, we don't trade value for value anymore. So if the barter system comes in, then we have to set the trend for what is value. And this is what the so-called XRP, XLM, these so-called cryptocurrencies, what I call quantum currencies. I don't like to call them cryptocurrencies. Those cryptos where you put dead things. I like the quantum currencies that are dealing out there now have the ability to actually amplify value. So gold may actually be used as the qualifier for XRP, for example, but you'll find that XRP will then be the value determinant for gold.
mm-hmm,
So there's an interface, an interaction of value. Now, the Internet of Information for the last, say, 20 years, 25 years since the Internet was put up, is now changing into the Internet of Value. So now you have to use, because they're pulling us in it. We're already into the AI machinery. How are you going to survive? Do you want to pull away? If we can live in the woods and break away and get our own, cabin and village, yeah, let's do it. But make sure that you have the ability to expand. Make sure you have water, agricultural land, because you see what they're doing. They're poisoning. They poisoned all the cows because they're attacking the food supply. Next thing they're going to poison is the water. They already poisoned the air. This is a subtle. What you're finding right now and seeing right now is a subtle attack against the United States of America. Very well done. Now, do I sound like an alarmist? No, I'm not an alarmist. I have solutions that I can help people with. I'm not just saying these things to get, what do you call that? Uh, Clicks or, there's no, what my son just told me what the word cap means. Well, cap, whatever that means. I was a capless. I used to wear them on my heads. Now I got to think, now they mean lies or something like that, you know. But like I said, my brother, and people, and I'm very honored that people trust me, and I take that trust to heart very, very seriously. So when I do come before the family and I tell them something, it's because I've done my vetting. It doesn't mean that I don't want them to vet. I I demand that you vet because you may tell me something I need to know. But in everything I'm telling you in the webinars and what I speak to you here on the forum with Brother Rich, I want you to vet and then take the opportunity to take advantage because I have found and people have found that over the course of my entire time of doing this, that I've been at least 95 to 96, maybe even 98% correct in the assumptions that I've made and the information that I've put forth to the people.
You want to take a few Q&A, Doc?
Sure.
Let's take before we take Q&A, let me post the link to the webinar that's going down this Saturday. Uh just posted the link for those who are interested. It is in the chat room. I think I'm gonna find a way to pin it to the top. But give me a question to a couple of questions for Doc. We ain't gonna be in here too long, but we definitely gonna take some Q&A from the people.
By the
Give
way,
me, yeah.
yeah, if I wanted to, if for the people who may have a problem with the getting or being sent the registration link, um, just send a request to my email. Just send it to Sunu, SUNNU, 777 at gmail.com. That's Sunu, S as in science, UNNU, 777 at gmail.com. And in the subject box, make sure you put the words webinar or just the word webinar in all capital letter. And then I will send the link to you and all the other numbers and links for all the other services that you may be interested in.
They're asking about and I'm so not watching the news right now. What happened with the Vatican? Is burning down, Doc?
Well,
Eh,
what they're doing is they're trying to destroy certain records.
Oh shit.
Remember, we talked about that years ago,
Uh-oh.
that they had to make sure because they've been told that all the things that they're burning is not only burning paper, but they're burning bodies because there's a lot of skeletons and a lot of uh, records of their child sacrifice and the whole 9 yards going on in the place where they actually worship Lucifer. There's actually a chapel to Lucifer in the Vatican. And of course, they have to make sure that all the records that they have, and the bank records especially, and there's going to be a lot of arrests of the so certain cardinals and certain the Pope, certain members of the Jesuits. There's going to be a lot of mass arrests going on very quietly behind the scenes. It's not going to look like it because people are going to start saying, well, how come these people are still ruling? Well, there's about three or four different Bidens, and official recognition will show you that each of the Bidens that they send out there aren't the same Biden.
All right. You seen the son smoking that crack, man?
Oh, wait, no, wait. Were you there when we did on one of our webinars where we showed you him about to sex this little 7-year-old?
Oh man, I don't even want to hear. Oh God.
Yeah, well, we showed that had the child dressed in stockings and a garter belt, and the child looking pathetic with wings, looking dressed up like a street walker,
Mm.
and he's over there grinning and taking selfies with her.
Yeah, that's
And
a
this guy's he's a sick bastard.
yeah. You could tell.
Yeah. And in fact, and most people don't know that he had one of the so-called Obama daughters in his in his pictures. That's why they don't want to show it, because it would blow the entire Democratic Party will come crumbling down,
Uh,
because he's got pictures of, and they're not actually Obama's daughters. Please, let's understand that right now. Those are not Obama's daughters. Those are what you call beards, mini beards, what I call mustaches, where they call women who are on the arms of, say, homosexuals, so he doesn't look like a homosexual.
mhm,
Well, they call her a beard.
mm,
Well, these little children, I call them little mustaches,
mm,
because essentially they don't belong to him or to Michelle or Mikel or whoever. But they have a picture of she and another girl with Biden.
mm. Crazy.
Mhm.
A lot of people are asking your thoughts about the Georgia Guidestone pyramids. What's your thoughts about the explosion that took place?
Well, I did a whole breakdown of the Georgia Guidestones that was actually erected by a Rosicrucian. And I have that particular thing. I don't have his name right now with me, but the Georgia Guidestones were broken down because the so-called white hats and the people who know what it really means destroyed it, simply because it was supposed to be a guide to the first, or to the so-called New World Order. And that guide to the New World Order was to bring the population of the entire planet down to 500 million, and that's it. And part of that is going to be what you see getting ready to come over the next cycle of what we call, you have the curve. The only way you see a curve is because they're actually taking pictures of the horizon with a fisheye lens. I did an entire. I don't know if you're. Matter of fact, it was at your your New York appearance when you invited me in,
Yeah.
where I showed the picture of the guy who did the highest drop from a. He went all the way up into a from a platform, and they took a picture of um, the original horizon, which was completely flat, and then they showed you the bend, the one where they curved it from the fisheye, and I put it side by side to show you that this thing is nonsense. When you see the horizon curve and you see the oceans curved, that's ridiculous. It's nonsense, and people are actually buying that nonsense. And I defy you to go to Google and and Google in and say, um, show a picture of the Earth from outer space, and you put that into Google and say the Earth, a picture of the Earth from outer space, and they will show you 10 to 12 to 13 different types of Earths, and they're all CGI. They're all created by computer, by NASA, and there's no legitimate picture of our Earth from outer space. I mean, from deep space, where you can see the moon and the Earth. Everything you're seeing is Hollywood. The Earth is flat, but it's not of just the Earth is flat. We're on a plane that's flat, an entire plane, a plane that is isolated by what I've come to call a compressed hydrogen dome. Everything else is water. We are all water bearers. We are all water entities. Outer space, there's no such thing. What's beyond the dome are other domes, because the only way that you can actually contain an atmosphere is in a dome. They tell you that your atmosphere that you're living in, oxygen and the ionosphere, the troposphere, what are all the different spheres? They tell you all these are different densities of gas. Isn't that what they teach you?
Mhm.
then if the earth is underneath all this gas and above the gas is a vacuum, what's keeping the vacuum from sucking all that gas back out into outer space? There is no outer space.
Next question is, why do they demonize Lucifer?
Well, simply because they don't want you to investigate Lucifer. When you demonize something, don't you automatically revile it? Preachers talking about Lucifer because of the story and the narrative that was created. They know what Lucifer really meant because the actual word, the foundation of the word is light. And they say it's the bringer of light. But what was Lucifer? Not who was Lucifer, what was Lucifer? What did they change from a what into a who? Remember, everything that you're seeing in the Bible, everything that you're dealing with when you're dealing with mystical beings and mystical creatures and messiahs, all of these are fabricated by the minds of men and women. So Lucifer essentially was at one point the bringer of the light, the bringer of the dawn, right? Well, if you were to understand how the bringer of the dawn is, you'll look up in the sky during a clear morning, especially in the summertime, and you will see a bright morning star right before the sun crests over the horizon. That's Lucifer. Lucifer is the bright morning star, right? Now, Jesus said that's who he was in Revelations, I believe 16 and 22. He said, I, Jesus, I've come to you in the churches or something to that nature. I am the something and something and the scion of David and the bright morning star. When I said that in Philadelphia, they almost ran me out on a rail. I said, how is Jesus saying that he's the bright morning star? And then the preachers got on there and started talking about, well, that's not the bright morning star we're talking about. There's a whole other bright morning star. Oh, really? Every one of them try to pull, they go to their Bible to try to find something to contradict what's supposed to be the Word of God. This
Mm.
is this definitive Word of God. You wrote it out. This is it. This the beginning of the sentence, the end of the sentence. Period. Now you're going to tell me there's 12 other meanings when I tell you that's one of the meanings that you keep skirting by. So no, we are the Lucifer is within you. Lucifer is the lamp of God that is lit, that taketh away the sins of the world. Lucifer is actually your pineal.
Mm. Indeed. Let's get to the next question. Somebody says, Johnny says, I recently did psychedelics, and what I believe to be my higher self kept discussing the Anu Wars and the Galactic Federation. Please explain.
Well, how long have you been studying the Galactic Federation before you took the psychedelics? Because you have to remember that your subconscious is extremely vulnerable to influence. So when you start taking psychedelics, peyote, ayahuasca, or any of the other ones, when you start taking those, you're going into a crypt that you created maybe many lives ago, because it's still in your DNA. So when the greatest thing that influenced you, that made you think twice, that gave you a feeling of authenticity and deep emotions, those come back when you start taking psychotropics. And so, if your higher self is speaking to you, your higher self is always the unconscious, subconscious mind. It's always speaking to you in whispers. It speaks to you in whispers until you take that psychotropic and you break down the borders between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. That's why some people can't take psychotropics, they go crazy. Because the
Mm.
subconscious mind starts flooding everything back to them in
Mm.
the form of symbols and feelings and taking you out of your body. The body starts panicking because the body knows it's terminal. It knows it's going to die one day, and it knows that anything that takes it away from its own sense of self is a danger to its existence. So you start getting fearful. You start going crazy. I'm going to die. Well, yeah, you're having a little death because death is almost like having a psychotropic trip. Because I did it, I know.
Mm. You took DMT before?
No, I didn't take the DMT. I died. I drowned.
Right. You said you mentioned that. You mentioned
Mhm.
that. How do you communicate with your spiritual parents?
That's a good question. You are your spiritual presence. You think that you're communicating with someone or something outside of yourself. So you think you need to bring them to you. The Bible, if you do understand that it is nothing more than a great book written by great men and women, what it's saying is, be still and know that I am, which means that I am means that I am everything and that everything is within me. So you are not only the child, you are the parent. In fact, I say the child is the father to the man. You don't teach the child to be a child, but what does that child teach you?
How to be a parent.
How to be a father. Yes. So, yes, if you want to communicate with your spiritual parents, know that your spiritual parents are you and that you are a reflection of that. And meditation, if you have an image of them, you can always go into your mind in a quiet space and make sure that your thoughts are not overriding you because your thoughts are very fearful when you begin to do things that it can't control. Thought needs to be in control all the time because thought is the one that makes the body feel like it's existing and it has control of itself. When you take yourself outside of that particular rubric of activity, then the spirit begins to come in, and all of a sudden, that which is not terminal begins to take over, and the terminal begins to become fearful.
Mm.
So, your spiritual is always trying to lock in and make your body go to ease, but the body does not go to ease. You have to become accustomed to what it's like to go into that particular state of mind, or else you go crazy. So, yes, your spiritual parents is already existing within you. If you have a sense of them, a picture of them, then meditate with them, a candle in a dark room with their pictures first, and then you could do it by yourself when you're in a dark place. Make sure, of course, that there's no light in the room because
Mm.
the darkness will become the screen upon which you will then, from your subconscious, project those images and you could see with them right there in the darkness. You
Mm.
can see them.
Amazing. What is Queen Elizabeth's role in all of this? Oh
As a stuffed mannequin.
man.
Queen Elizabeth used to sign all of the Social Security checks. She's the one who, through the Vatican, runs the territorial constitution. Territorial constitution is a corporation, of course, a corporate constitution. The Pope runs the municipal constitution, which is in the so-called District of Criminals, D.C., Washington D.C., which he now is dealing with as the White House Office Incorporated. So the Queen Elizabeth essentially is going to be a non-entity in this. In fact, she's supposed to be indicted for the murder of all those Indian children up in Canada when she and Prince Philip or King Philip or whoever it was took those children on a bus ride and none of them ever came back.
Okay, let's get to the next question. If the dollar is about to crash, why do these companies accept it for gold?
Why do the companies accept it for gold? You mean the gold carriers? Yeah,
Yeah.
because the gold right now is a medium of exchange. It is the accepted medium of exchange. That's all. And its value is dropping each time. You have to pay more and more of those worthless dollars for what you need. Check. That tells you. So when the new system comes into play, the true value of gold for it to be the backing for any kind of fiat, for your gold to back the fiat, it has to have a higher value. So at this present time, gold is about maybe 2,000 and some change, 100 and some change, or even it may even sunk lower. But When the new system comes into play, then the new system changes and gold's value goes up in order to deal with the new value of the new currency. It's the same with XRP. If XRP is going to be handling cross border payments and uh, dealing with settlements, financial settlements, it means that if it's dealing with all the money, if it's dealing with all the money, the value of that exchange in between for settlement and cross border payments through the banks would have to raise the value of the XRP. So right now it's about 31 cents, but 31 cents can't deal or can't add or uh, can't create the liquidity necessary for the cross-border payments and the amount of cross-border payments. I'm talking trillions per day. For that to be handling, for it to handle that amount of money, the value has to go up. The only reason the value is down right now is because of this SEC court case that's going on with them. So I just suggest if you are going to do anything with that, with quantum currencies, then you deal with XRP, which has use case, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin will never be accepted by the banks. Okay, Bitcoin. I told you 5 years ago, 3 years ago. How long ago was it when you interviewed me at that conference in New York?
It was
Uh,
about 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and I told you don't mess with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Leave Bitcoin alone because it was created by the Five Eyes. And they say now there's four people that's supposed to have come forward to claim that they are Satoshi Nakamoto. No, they're not. Satoshi Nakamoto breaks down the word in the kanji and the katakana language of the Japanese. Those two words break down to central intelligence. I told you that in one of my webinars. I showed you that. So, because proof of work, as they call it, does not work in the new financial system, and because nobody knows who created Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is supposed to be a proof of value or stake. It's not a stake. So no bank is who is actually controlling all of this. They said that if Bitcoin, the word is that if Bitcoin were to take over the financial system of a country, that's when the government will roll out the tax. So you may hedge it, use it for a little while, get your money and get out. And that goes for Ethereum. The ones that are use case, the ones that are going to be used by the new financial system, XRP, XLM, Quant, XDC, Cardano or ADA, and I would think there's maybe about one or two others, but those are the primers. Okay.
Okay, let's get to the next question. Where did I just see? Oh, somebody said, is the royal family part of the Alpha Draconian race?
Yeah, that's the older theory. Again, you have to look at the mythos of these coming from different parts of the universe. There's no universe that is the way that they show you with Star Trek going to planet into an infinite space. It's nonsense. So if you're dealing with alpha draconian races, you have to remember that we're not dealing with the mythos that surrounds that. If they're dealing with other entities from different time portals or different dimensional portals, then that's something different. Because they're actually the only way that you could deal in dimensionality is if you are actually functioning in the physical plane down here where or someplace close where you can actually interface with different compression paradigms or compressed paradigms, which you call dimensions. But if we're looking to look to an alpha draconian race, then look down in the earth where we're not allowed to go but so deep, where these entities were said to have had a battle with the soldiers and so forth. Are we dealing with draconians? We may be. Who knows? But to say that they came from another planet and there's a queen dragon and they keep pushing these things and getting us to love dragons. What about this big purple dinosaur and Jurassic Park? You get us into all these draconian images, the draconian image of entities that are running the planet from behind the scenes, and they're using quantum filters in order to keep physical forms and not to revert back. And sometimes they can be seen on TV when the TV, the imaging, the imaging that they have for their faces sometimes goes awry or askew. Yeah, there may be a draconian race, but not the way that we're looking at them. Because remember, everything they're going to be fed to you, anything that they tell you to look at once, twice, three times, but always look for something behind that, or look for something off the grid where they don't want you to look, because they want this hand to be the thing keeping your attention, while this hand is the one doing the dirt. So when you start talking about alpha draconian races and so forth, and all of the copious amounts of data around that, know that they, you remember the Bible, came up with 66, 65 books. The last book, the 66th book, went in on the 16th century, which they called Revelations, but it was actually called the initiation of the anointing of Iesus, which was then changed to Apocalypse by the Catholics, and then changed by the Protestants into Revelation. So don't nothing of what you have been given in education or what you're thinking that you're seeing on TV or somebody is revealing to you, nothing should be trusted. Not even me. Don't you have to make sure that whatever it is that you feel comfortable with as far as explanations for the reality you're in, don't get too comfortable with it. Don't make it a part of your consciousness so that you are inflexible to what will be given to you as information. Because a lot of people latch on to something that they find very interesting in the storyline, and little clues are given to them to show them that they're right. But but that fixation that you have is keeping you from understanding. You have to take a 360-degree scan of your reality, not that 133 degrees that is just what it is until it's proven. Once the information is proven, it becomes knowledge. Once the knowledge is perfected, it becomes wisdom. Once wisdom is shared, it becomes enlightenment.
Indeed. Somebody asked a question about. Oh, where did it go? Uh, hmm. Well, I don't see that, but somebody said, "Can you speak on Loki and the imagination?" Loki.
You mean on the low low? Well, Loki is mischief, which means that that's the part of the mind and the part of the brain that is always seeking to upend um, order. Loki represents that part of reality that cannot stay fixated in its own sense of self. It has a beginning, a maturity, and an ending. And Loki is that part of that dynamic, that part of that movement in the creation of things that has the of chaos that is entered into everything created. Remember, you're on the physical plane, and on the physical plane, everything has a duration because it is trapped in time. It's trapped in the thought process. So what happens? Loki becomes the mischief that begins to have you questioning your reality. It has you wondering whether or not what it is that I'm doing is relevant anymore. So he has you tricked. He tricks you into believing or to believing that that you got the right answer, but everything around you is telling you you don't. So what you have to do now is to change your perspective. Loki forces you to examine yourself, to see twice. That's why you see him have all these images of himself. He has about 10 and 12 images that he can give you because he's got 10 and 12 different ways to distract you.
Mm.
So you have to understand that that's how that part of you, that's how chaos works. Chaos needs to do that in order to upend order, because order, once fixated, can actually cause death. It'll cause an entropy that causes you to stagnate and then stagnate unto death. Life is movement. Life is continually renewing itself. And so Loki is that part that always says, okay, time's up. You've been lingering on this particular reality and fixated too long.
Indeed. Somebody asks, how does Norse mythology fit to us?
It's them telling us our story back with us with white faces. So
Uh,
study your own mythology, and you'll have a greater perspective than the Norse mythology. They have imbibed the meaning of their mythology through what they have stolen from our mythologies. So study your own mythology. You have a greater perspective of yourself. What do you see every time you look at these Norse mythologies? You see some everything around right now in TV is all about white people and this Norse and painting of themselves, the Vikings and all of that. They got to keep pushing themselves, their Neanderthal selves on us because there's nothing else. Remember, the further back they go, they can't go further back than what's that one with the woman who flies around with dragons?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. They can't go further back than Game of Thrones. They can't go further back than Lord of the Rings. And what do they look like? All Vikings. But when you go back, the further back you go into a lush land, because they're all Icelandic creatures, when you go back to lush lands and so called civilizations where there was warmth, incubators rather than refrigerators, when you go there, that's where they pull. This woman, there was this older woman who keeps talking about white people and showing them how racist they are. I forgot her name. But she said, we never, as white people, never ever created a religion. We did not create any of the sophisticated things of civilization. Yet still we brag that we are somehow bringing civilization to those who we stole the civilization from, destroyed their societies, turned them into primitives, or caused them to have to live a certain way, and then came back after we have stolen everything they did, built our civilizations on their particular intellectual capital, and then now castigate them.
You talking about Jane Elliott, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the name.
yeah.
Thank you. So Norse mythology is actually Kemetic mythology. It's actually Dravidic mythology. It's Vedic mythology.
Okay. Um, where is it at? Where is it at? Just seen it. Just seen it, Doug. Give me a second. Family, once again, before I continue, make sure you hit the like button. I got all the docs information in the description bar. If you are interested in the webinar happening this Sunday, so you could go to the description bar. He also has his 1-800 number there as well. We're gonna take two more questions before we get out of here. Doc, can you speak about the Orishas?
You can speak about the Orishas by studying the entities. I don't. I didn't go deeper into the Orishas, uh, but I know of them, and a priest of Ifa wanted me to be initiated into Ifa, but when I went to speak to this priest who came out of Cuba, he told me that I was ready Ifa because my whole energy was based in Jehudi, and in the combination of the two disciplines, Ifa is Jehudi. So if you want to know more about the Orishas, you should study the Kemetic pantheon because you can actually get the same thing like uh, Yamaya, and you're talking about. Um, where you think they took Thor from? They took Thor from Obatala and Ogun. They combined that, and the other Orishas that they take from Heteru is what's the name of that the god, the Orisha of beauty and love? Um, what's her name?
Oh, I forget. I know you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah. Well, I mean, what's his name? The Shechemer Shechem did a beautiful job of combining the Orishas and the gods of the Orishas.
Oshun. Somebody said
Oshun,
Oshun.
Oshun,
Yeah,
Oshun.
Oshun.
And Yes, thank you, Fernando. There is a he did a very good job. The Shechem did a very good job of melding the Yoruba and Ifa to ancient Kemet. So if you wanted to know more about how those two worked, I would suggest that you get the book by Shechem.
Okay. Last question, Doc. Are we from Africa?
Not all of us. Remember, I said something at when I did the hidden colors. I did hidden colors, and this became a meme that I saw. Uh, the deeper the European digs for evidence of his history and his past, the blacker the planet gets. Which means, and I meant by that is that we are all over this plane of existence. We have been here in these Americas thousands upon thousands of years before him. In fact, the Smithsonian has designated that the so called Olmecs are the original high civilization of this particular hemisphere. So, what does that say? Who are the so called Olmecs? We know them as the Tamon Khan. Some of them call them the Z people, or the peoples of from the empire of the Mali. Okay, no, we didn't all come from Africa. In fact, most of the people who were brought from Africa actually were dropped off in the United in the so-called West Indies. The people who were enslaved here were the indigenous peoples. The people you see that they're calling the indigenous cut a deal with the white man, the one that looks like they're Asian. That's not the original. That's not the indigenous people of this particular hemisphere.
Mm.
That's the Mongol who came across the bridge, the Bering Strait Bridge, down through Canada, or what is now Canada, because Canada and the so-called United States is all North America. That line that you see between Canada and the United States, that didn't exist until the white man. We roamed this entire continent, this entire part here. So this person that they call the indigenous people that you saw with dances with wolves and all that. In fact, if you saw my last webinar, which was probably in the last webinar, in the last webinar, I showed you that the current head of the Chinese military talked about the fact that they are the superior race, that the Germans call themselves the superior race, and he said, no, we are the superior race because we're older. We're 5,000 years old. He says, we've been all over this planet, this world. And he says, we've migrated to all four corners of the world, even into the Americas, where we became the American Indian. Now, if that don't give you a clue to the fact that he is not, they are not, these people that they're pushing up as the so-called Native American, they're not the Native American. There were huge citadels, cities here. There's even a Supreme Court from 1712, long before the so-called 13 colonies were built up, which were the first black colonies that were trying to break away from the black nobility in England. There's so much going on in the twistery in what I call the American education system. You're not being taught our story. Our story is my story. You put my and story together, you get mystery. So our story is the mystery that they hide. That's what they're burning in the Vatican. So understand that there's enough information that's coming out, enough in the archives that I'm being given every day, being leaked out to me to be able to speak certain things. That's why I'm also, before I do cut off my beloved brother, I'm telling the people that if they want to move their capital, their monies, you don't have to take it all out. You want to move their monies from the bank and put it into something that will appreciate every week, bonus every week, that they need to look into the Novatech. You have that number there that I left for you, brother.
Yeah.
You need to talk to to this brother, Brother Reggie. His number is 415 756 5676. Once again, 415 756 5676. Talk to him about the Novatech and do your own vetting. I did. And actually, Novatech was created by a black woman, young black woman named Cynthia Petion. In fact, from what I heard and what was vetted, that Cynthia was in Wall Street and was one of the high rollers working in finance, the Forex, and in cryptocurrencies. And she was so potent in what she did, making money for white men, that the former CEO of Twitter is supposed to have given her $10 million so that she would never fail. Okay? Do your vetting, but call this brother if you want to make sure that the depreciating dollar, the hemorrhaging dollar, does not take you all down the toilet with it. Again, it's Nova Tech. And you could talk to
owning pages on Instagram. I will never, ever, 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 ever DM you asking you for money, asking you for to invest in cryptocurrency, or telling you, do you want to read in? Those are scammers. There somebody's clone my page. It says Black Magic 363, and after my name it's an underscore. That's not me. I don't know why people are following it. It's tricky. Sometimes people aren't paying attention, but there's a slight underscore after my name. That's not me. I might just get rid of my Instagram altogether. I don't really feel Instagram anyway. That's not my energy or whatever. So I might end up just getting rid of my Instagram altogether. I'm not sure, but I'm letting you know, family. Yeah, the scammers are running heavy right now. YouTube also, but Instagram is a complete mess. So that's not me. Brother Rich ain't. I'm gonna ask you donations live on the show. A Cash Apple, but I'm not DMing people. I'm not going to your email. None of that. That's not me, family. That's most of these scammers are from Nigeria. People have seen them before. Do not fall for it. If you're on Instagram, Instagram is filthy right now. It's filthy. It's disgusting right now. So be very careful if you are on Instagram, because the person you're talking to may not be that person. All right. And with that being said, I see we at the 1,000 mark. We at the 1,000 mark right now. So let me let y'all know this. I told Doc years ago. I said, Doc, we had a talk. I told Doc to set up a Cash App, and I'm letting him know about what's the current energy, the current wave. I'm younger than Doc, and I'm like, people are using Cash App. You need to set up a Cash App. So Doc set up a Cash App, and it served Doc well the last couple of years. Dr. Valentine has been under attack from numerous entities. YouTube, you'll see my page get suspended, Facebook, and now Cash App. Cash App is just a place where you send money. You don't even speak on Cash App. They shut Doc's Cash App down. So I told Doc, I promised Doc, I said, I'm gonna take care of you, Doc. I mean, the only reason why I'm here is because of brothers like Dr. Phil Valentine. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Yeah, the brother made it possible for a brother like me to come in the game and do what I gotta do, learn the information, learn the metaphysics. So we gotta take care of our elders. It's very necessary. And there's a huge disconnect. Just like I had the brother Kwame on yesterday, there's a huge disconnect between the elders and the youth. We're looking at the younger people with the tattoos and the this and the that and whatever, and it's like it's stimulating to us when we see all this stuff. But our elders are what gave us this information. Our elders taught us all this. Our elders made it possible for me to be here. Looking how I look right now, doing this for a living. Our elders did that. Let us not forget our elders. So I want everybody who watches this, everybody. They took Doc's Cash App. Let me say this. You don't even teach or why would they? Let me say this. If y'all watching now, I need you to support the brother. And Doc is humble. There's other things that I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't dare disrespect Doc, but he's humble. But I'm here to be the voice. I'm the loud, obnoxious dude. That's what I'm here for. But Doc is humble. But right now, if you're watching this, I don't need you to send me anything. I need you to send Doc. I just put his PayPal. Where's it at? I need you to support Dr. Valentine right now, the whole family. There's 1,162 people in here live. If you're not live and you're watching this later, that means you're still watching it. I need everybody to hit up Doc's PayPal, whether it's $1, whatever. If it's 100, if it's 1,000, 5,000, whatever. But if you're watching this, show some respect to the elders. And I'm not saying you're being disrespectful if you don't donate, but it's just I know what's going on right now, and I know Doc. You know, I know it's that time. So make sure y'all show support. Hit up Dr. Valentine's PayPal, KevinEarth@gmail.com. We're gonna take care of our elders. We're not gonna do what we've been doing for years. Dr. Ben passed away, and I don't even want to say how that was. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tariq Nasheed for sending some money to his family, but a lot of our elders pass away and it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. And we all are regretful once they pass away, but the brother's alive now. So we don't have to be regretful 15 years from now. We could be thankful right now for doing it right now. And when the brother makes the transition back to the ancestral realm, we could say, I'm thankful that during the time he was alive, I contributed. So everybody who's watching this right now, even if you're a troll, you've benefited from Dr. Valentine. He gave you something. He gave you something to troll about. Everybody, hit up the brother's PayPal. We're gonna do a Q&A tonight, but I'm constantly gonna remind y'all to hit up the brother's PayPal right now. The brother's under attack from various entities. He's not down with the Democratic agenda, and you know they control a lot of the platforms. Dumb, 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 dumb. I'm not gonna curse because I don't want them to take this down. Um, he goes against that whole Jabberwocky agenda. You know how that. You know what that's about. And the brother's melanated, so you know the other stuff he comes with. So with that being said, family, make sure you contribute. One more time before we get to Q&A from the people. PayPal, KevinEarth@gmail.com. And like I said, somebody said, does he have a Cash App? They must have just came in the room because I mean, how can you ask that? I mean, okay. So anyway, we're gonna get to it's gonna be a live Q&A tonight for the family. The brother's gonna interact with the people, with the audience. It's gonna be beautiful. Doc, anything you want to say before we get started, my brother?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to family,
Yes.
and and thank you for